Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusti Bowling, a First Chapter Friday read aloud video with the Word Nerd. Today, as you listen, watch for the story quote that will appear on screen. Write it down word by word and then follow the instructions given to you by your teacher. Hi, my name is Amanda Zieba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, and another First Chapter Friday video. This week I'm going to be reading to you from The Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusti Bowling. Quick random thought, this is one of the longest titles I've ever had on this channel, and I had to get a little creative with my letterboard, if you can see. In fact, I counted it up, there are 37 letters in this title, and the only one on my channel that is longer is Cornelia and the Audacious Escapades of the Somerset Sisters. This title has 37 letters, and this one I think I counted like 45 or something. I did it right before this video, and now I can't remember. But I think I cheated. When I did this one, I think I just put Cornelia. I don't think I put the whole thing. Anyways, super random. If you know a title that is longer than either of these, send it to me, because now I'm curious about the longest book title ever. Okay, what is not long in this book are the chapters, and I love that because it makes it easy to just sit down and in bite-sized pieces make your way through the story. And oftentimes what I find is that when I'm reading a book with really short chapters, I think to myself, oh, I can just do one more. Oh, I can just do one more. And then I get sucked in and I read far more than I would if I was just doing one really long chapter. So if you like short chapters too, or you need a way to bite-size your way through a book, I would highly recommend this super interesting middle grade story. The other thing I want to point out about this book is that it takes a really unique look on the topic of diversity. A lot of times when we think about the topic of diversity, we immediately go to racial diversity, but this book is a good reminder that there's all kinds of differences that we have from one another, and sometimes it takes a little bit to open our eyes and pay attention to other kinds of diversity when we're having those conversations about the differences between us all. So I'm going to read the back of the book so you know a little bit about it, and then I'm going to read you the very, very short first chapter. Aven Green didn't lose her arms in an alligator wrestling match or a wildfire in Tanzania. That's just what she tells people when she gets the looks. The truth is, Aven was born without arms, but at age 13, that hasn't stopped her from doing almost anything. Then her parents take a job running Stagecoach Pass, a rundown Western theme park in Arizona, and Aven has to leave everything she knows behind. Aven struggles to make friends at her new school, where the kids can't seem to see past her missing arms. But her life takes another unexpected turn when she meets Connor, a classmate who also feels isolated because of his own disability. Together, they discover an old storage shed at the park that holds bigger secrets than Aven ever could have imagined. It's hard to solve a mystery, help a friend, and face your fears. But Aven's about to find out what she's capable of and how far she is from insignificant. Lots of people love this book. In fact, I first discovered it because people were singing its praises on Instagram. So let's dive in and learn more about Aven and her armlessness. The Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusti Bowling, Chapter 1. When I was little, a kid pointed at me on the playground and shouted, "Her arms fell off!" and then ran away screaming in terror to his mom, who had to cuddle him on her lap and rub his head for like 10 minutes to get him to calm down. I think up until then, I hadn't thought about the idea that my arms must have actually fallen off at some point in my life. I'd never really thought about not having arms at all. My missing arms weren't an issue for me or my parents. I never once heard either of them say, "Oh no, Aven can't possibly do that because that's only for armed people," or "Poor Aven is so helpless without arms," or "Maybe Aven can do that one day, if she ever grows some arms." They always said things like, "You'll have to do this differently from other people, but you can manage," and "I know this is challenging. Keep trying," and "You're capable of anything, Aven." I never realized just how different I was until the day that horrible kid shouted about my arms having fallen off. For the first time, I found myself aware of my total armlessness, and I guess I felt like I was sort of naked all of a sudden. So I too ran to my mom, and she scooped me up and carried me away from the park, allowing my tears and snot to soak to her shirt. As she drove us home that day, I sat whimpering in my car seat and asked her what had happened to my arms and why they had fallen off. She told me they hadn't fallen off. I was just born like that. I asked her how I could get some new ones, and she said I couldn't. I wailed in despair, and she told me to stop crying because having arms was totally overrated. I didn't know what overrated meant at the time because, like I said, I was really little and so was my brain. I kind of figured it out over the next few days, though, because my parents were constantly saying things like, coloring this picture with my hands is okay, but only if I could color it with my feet like Aven. No, that would be fantastic. And eating spaghetti with my arms is just so boring. I wish I could eat it with my feet. And the only person I know who can pick their nose with their toes is Aven. She sure is a special little girl. Dad even went so far as to ask Mom if there were any arm removal services in the area. Growing up, I could do most everything everyone else did with their arms. Eating cereal, brushing my teeth and hair, getting dressed, and yes, even wiping my own bottom. I know you're instantly wondering how I do it, and maybe I'll tell you later. Maybe. Until then, you'll just have to live in suspense. Sure, these things take me longer. Sometimes they take a lot longer. Sometimes I have to use a special tool like a hook or a strap or something like that. And every now and then I want to scream in frustration and kick a pillow until the stuffing comes out because it's taken me 20 minutes to get pants buttoned. Yes, I can button my pants. I think I can do all these things because my parents have always encouraged me to figure things out on my own. Well, more like made me figure things out on my own. I suppose if they had always done everything for me, I would be helpless without them. But they didn't, and I'm not. And now that I'm 13 years old, I don't need much help with anything. True story. When I started kindergarten, the kids were a little weirded out by my lack of armage. I got asked just about every day what had happened to my arms, as well as a billion other silly questions like, how do I make farting noises with my armpits when I don't have any arms, or hands, or pits? And how do I play dress up, which I tried showing them and ended up with a poofy pink tutu thing stuck around my head for about 5 minutes before the teacher finally noticed and helped me pull it down to my waist. I got so tired of telling them the same boring story about being born without arms that I started making stuff up, and it was stinking hilarious. I knew from the first moment I told a girl my arms had burned off in a fire, I had found a great hobby: making up stories. I loved the way her eyes grew wide with shock and the way her voice went all high-pitched with excitement as she asked me a bunch more questions about my charred arms. Her: what kind of fire accident? Me: a wild forest fire burning out of control. Her: where? Me: in the mountains of Tanzania. I honestly didn't know where Tanzania was or if they had any mountains. I think I'd heard the name in an episode of Scooby-Doo or something. Her: how old were you? Me: just a helpless baby. My mom barely rescued me in time. She pulled me from my burning crib and raced out of our flaming village, leaving a trail of fire all the way down the mountain as my arms burned to a crisp. They looked like 2 pieces of bacon by the time we got to the village hospital. Another kid standing by: cooked or uncooked? So I kind of traumatized her and had to have a meeting with my parents and the teacher later about my story. My parents squinted their eyes and pursed their lips and nodded their heads as the teacher told them. So Ava told another child that her arms burned off in a wildfire in the mountains of Tanzania. She peered at them over her glasses, frowning. She also mentioned this thing about bacon. I had never seen such serious looks on my parents' faces before, like they were concentrating so hard on being serious their heads might explode if they blinked. They said seriously that they would talk to me about it, and they shook the teacher's hand seriously and gave me serious looks as we walked out of the school, very seriously. But I could tell they weren't mad because all the way home, one of them would softly snort and then the other would giggle and then the other would shake from laughing, but trying not to laugh out loud, and on like that all the way home. They later told me just to be truthful so I didn't upset any of the other kids. And I did for a long time, but then one day in 5th grade we had a new kid come to our school. I'd gone to the same school since kindergarten, so all my friends knew I was just born with no arms. When I sat down at lunch, this kid, he said, "Whoa, what happened to your arms?" All my friends were looking at me, and what can I say? It kind of exploded out of me like an overfilled water balloon. I told him this crazy story about how I had rescued a puppy that had been tied to the train tracks just in time before a train nearly ran over it, just in time for the puppy, but not for my poor, flattened arms. You should have seen the look on this kid's face. It was priceless. My best friend Emily burst out laughing, and my friend Kayla spit chocolate milk across the table. The new kid realized it was a joke and started laughing too. Pretty soon, everyone was constantly asking me, "Hey, Aven, where'd your arms go?" And I would have a new story to tell. Over time, my stories got more and more ridiculous. Alligator wrestling in the Everglades in Florida, freak roller coaster accidents, skydiving trips gone wrong. I made my stories as ridiculous as possible so people would always know I was joking. I grew up with those kids. I never felt out of place or anything like that. My armlessness wasn't strange or weird to them because, like I said, I had always gone to the same school. I never imagined my parents would make me leave. I never thought they would make me move all the way to Arizona and go to a new school right after starting 8th grade. Then again, I never imagined I would save the Old West, perform for an audience in the desert, and solve a mystery. You'd be surprised at all that I'm capable of, even without arms. If you are intrigued by Aven and her armlessness and her stories and what's going to happen to her when she moves to Arizona, you should totally pick up a copy of The Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusti Bowling. You can do that at your school library, your local indie bookstore, or if you can't find it there, you can grab a copy from the link in the description box, and then make sure you come back here next week for another First Chapter Friday. Happy reading! To continue reading Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusti Bowling, check out a copy from your school library, purchase one from your local indie bookstore, or grab one through the link in the description box. Then make sure you check out the rest of the First Chapter Friday playlist. I have tons of great middle grade and YA stories waiting for you. This week's mystery quote says, "I felt like I was shining, and this time I thought maybe it wasn't just the moon. Maybe the light was in me." Please like this video and subscribe so you can stay connected for more great First Chapter Friday videos and other videos you can use in your classroom. Happy reading!